Unit 2, Lesson 5, two equations for each relationship. So I can find two constants of proportionality for the proportional relationship, and you can describe two equations that represent the proportional relationship as described by a table or a story. So because the constant of proportionality is reciprocal, that means we can do it two ways. So the first one says, filling the water cooler, part 1. So it took Priya 5 minutes to fill the water cooler with 8 gallons of water from the faucet. That was flowing at a steady rate. Let W be the number of gallons of water in the cooler after T minutes. So I have to figure out what my constant of proportionality is. So I have to figure out what it would be for 1 minute. So I have my 8 gallons in 5 minutes. And I want to figure out what it is for 1. So I'm going to divide by 5. I'm going to use my calculator, 8 divided by 5. I get 1.6. So it's 1.6 gallons per minute. Then I need to figure out what it would be if I did it the other way. So again, I have my gallons and I have my minutes. So I need to figure out what it would be, how many minutes it takes for 1 gallon to go. So I'm going to divide by 8. Divide by 8, so I'm going to use my trusty calculator. 5 divided by 8, and I get 0.625. So it's 0.625 gallons is in 0.625 of a minute is equal to 1 gallon. So it says that the water cooler, let W be the number of gallons of water in the cooler. So I need to make sure that after T minutes. So I would multiply the number of gallons times 0.625. So I would do 0.625 times W, and that would equal the amount of time that I'm going to have. Because 6.25 times the number of gallons is going to give me how much total time I had. So that would be D. And then if I work the other way, I know that 1.6 times the amount of time is going to give me the amount of water that's in my jug. So 1.6 times T equals W, so it's A and D. So Priya took 5 minutes to fill a cooler with 8 gallons of water. That was flowing at a steady rate. Let W be the number of gallons of water in the cooler after T minutes. So what does 1.6 tell you in this situation? That it's 1.6 gallons of water per minute. And what does 1.625 tell you about the situation? That 0.625 minutes, so it takes 0.625 minutes to get 1 gallon of water. So those are your two constants of proportionality. So write an equation that represents the relationship WD. It takes for 3 minutes to fill the cooler with 1 gallon of water. So now they've changed it around and they're saying that it's going to take us 3 minutes to get 1 gallon of water. So remember, W is gallons of water and T is time. So I know that three times the number of gallons is going to give me the time. So 3 minutes times the gallon of water is going to give me the total amount of time. Was the cooler filling faster before or after Priya changed the rate of flow? So let's look back. So this is 1.6 gallons of water per minute. That's 1 gallon for 3 minutes. Well, I would say it's going slower because it took 0.625 minutes. Now it takes 3 minutes to fill the same amount of water, so it's still 1 gallon. So now we're feeding shrimp. So at an aquarium, a shrimp is fed 1/5 of a gram of food at each feeding and is fed 3 times a day. So how much food does the shrimp get fed in 1 day? So that's 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5, right? So that's 3/5 of a gram. So now, if I want to figure out what it would be for every other one, I'm going to multiply by 3/5 each time. So I get 21 divided by 5. So I get 4.2 grams in 7 days. And in 30 days, I get 18 grams. What was the constant of proportionality, and what does it tell us about the situation? That each day the shrimp is fed 3/5 of a gram. So my constant of proportionality is 3/5. So then it says, if we switch the columns in the table, what would be the constant of proportionality? Explain your reasoning. Well, if you switch it, that means that you're going from 3/5. And remember how we talked about reciprocal before? So now we're going to use the reciprocal. So it would be 5/3. Explain your reasoning. Opposite column. So use D for the number of days and F for the amount of food in grams, and write each shrimp, oh my goodness, eats. Write 2 equations that represent D and F. Okay, so if I go back to my table from before, I know that, so it would be 3/5 times D, right? So the food is 3/5 times the number of days. So if I was going to work the other way, if I was going to say D equals, it would be 5/3 F. So if I work the other way, I use the reciprocal of my constant of proportionality. So concrete building blocks weigh 28 pounds each. Use B for the number of concrete blocks and W for the weight. write two equations that relate the two variables. So I know that they want to know the total weight, right? So the total weight is 20 times the number of blocks. So every block that I add on, it's going to be multiplied by 28. So to work in the opposite direction, I would go B equals 1 divided by 28. So the weight divided by 28 is going to give me the number of blocks. Problem 4. The table represents a proportional relationship. Find the constant of proportionality and write an equation to represent the relationship. So my constant of proportionality is here. So I know that I'm multiplying by 3 each time. So it would be 3y. Okay, so my constant of proportionality is 3. And so my equation would be y a equals 3y. Or if I wanted to come up with the other option, I would use my reciprocal. So I would say y equals 1/3 of a. So now you're going to be doing a question about an albatross. So this is just a picture of an albatross. And you're going to find out 400 kilometers equals 8 hours. So they want you to work with equations. So if you need help with this, so you understood but you need some extra practice, Khan Academy. If you want to hear it from another perspective, Mr. Morgan. If you want to talk it through with someone, email a study buddy. And if you want to set up an appointment on Calendly, I'd be glad to work through this with you.